It is the $1,000,000 question. Why do I no longer watch Survivor? Well, I need to take you back to when I first watched Survivor, which was in late 2011. I was watching a lot of the older seasons on YouTube in crappy quality, and well, first of all, I kind of miss those days of YouTube when you could just watch whatever season pretty much freely. And all of that led me to watching my first ever live season of Survivor, which was Survivor One World, season 24. And I remember the first episode I ever watched on TV was the episode where Jay was voted out, which I know was a super random episode, but that is the truth. Now fast forward to today, where the last season of Survivor I have watched is season 44. Survivor One World, season 24, and Survivor 44. 20 seasons I have been watching Survivor weekly on television, and now don't anymore. Now there's a couple reasons for why I am no longer a Survivor fan, really. Now, obviously I'm still a fan of Survivor in terms of all the older seasons that I really like and all the older contestants I really like. But when it comes to what Survivor eventually turned into, yeah, it's just not for me, really. At heart, I am fully an old school Survivor fan. Yeah, I think this is evidence enough that I am an old school Survivor fan. I have the old school Survivor shirt from Ethan Zahn's shop. Ethan Zahn, one of my favorite Survivors of all time. Even have two of the little thingies here, postcards or whatever. But yeah, I mean, come on now. Old school Survivor fan, right here. So yeah, old school Survivor, through and through, is the best kind of Survivor for me. I just loved watching people out on an adventure. I loved learning about these people, how they interact with each other, the dynamics between them. Survivor used to be all about the people and how they would play the game. And to me, there was a real turning point around the time of Cambodia, Second Chances, and Millennials versus Gen X. Around this time is when, I don't know, the tune of the show really started changing in a drastic way. Now the show was just completely about all these different advantages and twists that are being introduced at an accelerated rate. There was all these different terms being thrown out like voting blocks and trust clusters that had completely lost all their meaning. There was just so much strategy, so many advantages, so many twists, and Survivor began to not really feel like Survivor. Now there are seasons in the 30s that I do really like. Go Wrong is one of my favorite seasons of all time. Heroes, Healers, Hustlers, I think that's the right order. That's another good season, except for the ending. And David vs. Goliath I do think is good, although a bit overrated by some. But the 30s is really when all of this started to take off and just, I don't know, just too much changed for me. I liked when there was just a tribe swap, maybe an idol here and there, and that's pretty much it as far as twists and advantages go. My favorite Survivor season of all time is Survivor Vanuatu. No advantages there whatsoever. The only twist there was really that there was just one tribe swap. The majority of the Survivor seasons I love are pretty much the same thing as that. Even stuff like Survivor China, Survivor Micronesia, Survivor Gabon, those have idols and tribe swaps in them, but they were all so good and added so much to the narrative and the contestants on the show and their dynamics and their alliances. It made it really fun. Nowadays, it's less the players playing the game and more the game playing the players. And especially when there's so many format changes to the show now with how the jury is handled nowadays, I hate it, you know? Like, trying to have like a whole forum discussion just takes away from how amazing jury speeches are. There's been so many incredible, eloquent, emotional jury speeches that are still like historical moments in the show to this day. And having to divide everything by outplay, outwit, outlast, like all of those are very interchangeable, and trying to distinguish them all, it just doesn't really work. And the jury forum discussion, it's not good either. There's so many times where you don't even hear from jurors much. There's some that just don't really get a word in. And then you have stuff like the fire making challenge now being a mandatory thing, which I just think sucks. And that is a huge reason why the ending of Heroes, Healers, Hustlers sucked. And it's drained so much fun out of the seasons after that. Seeing the fire making challenge happen because it naturally led to that is fun. Seeing it become this mandatory thing now, just, it sucks. There's also been another huge attitude change in the way that the players play the game now and how they vote for a winner. Like now, It's less about actually just voting for who you want to vote for, and now it's all about voting for who, quote unquote, deserves to represent this season the best. I don't know what exactly led to this, but again, it's another thing I absolutely hate. People always cry on and on about bitter juries and stuff like that, but the truth is, bitter juries are just a product of a hugely emotional season, and it leads to great results. I love the fact that Natalie White beat Russell. Just as an example, something like that cannot happen because everyone is so focused on who, quote unquote, deserves to win, instead of just voting for their friend or voting for who they actually really want to win. There's stuff like that where it's just the attitude of the show is just completely different. And you add in all these different advantages and all these twists that completely throw off everything. We barely learn naturally who these people are besides just these forced sob stories. And I hate to demean them like that, but they kind of are like that. And I mean, obviously everyone has their own experiences and stuff like that, and it's really cool to learn about these things. But when watching any season of Old School Survivor, I don't need to be ham-fisted with all these deep, sad stories about these people. I learn about these people just through their interactions with each other, through their confessionals, through all the different things that they're doing, and through just, I don't know, it was just so much different. And now the show acts like it cares about the people and it's presenting them in this different way, but at the end of the day, Jeff Probst is still inputting all these different advantages and twists into the game that just makes the game all about that stuff instead of the people actually playing the game. Like this new era of Survivor, I gave it a fair shot. Season 41 and 42, I liked those seasons. 43 and 44, I just couldn't do it anymore. I don't know what it was, but season 43 and 44 for me were just extremely hard to watch for me. Every week when I would go to watch a new episode, it just felt like a chore to me, and this kept happening more and more until the very end of season 44 when eventually I just had to say, I've had enough. I can't exactly be the old grumpy man just screaming at clouds all day. Eventually, I have to realize that, listen, as much as I love Old School Survivor, and as much as I would absolutely love to see that kind of Survivor come back, I have to be realistic. It's never coming back. And I can't keep complaining about this show, hate watching it every single week. Eventually, I just have to stop. But there are good things about the new era. The diversity mandate, for one thing, is incredible. I mean, it's something that should have always been there, really, but it's led to amazing castaways and amazing moments, and all in all, great work. The show just isn't for me anymore. The show is just barely reminiscent of what Survivor used to be, and the Survivor I love is no longer there, and that is completely okay. I genuinely have had no issue whatsoever with walking away from the show and just not watching it ever again. I feel satisfied with the 44 seasons of Survivor I've watched, which is a lot, and that is why I no longer watch Survivor anymore. Survivor 50, I'm not going to be tuning into that either, but I may check out that Survivor Australia versus the World thing, just to see a couple of people in particular. But in general, yeah, I'm pretty much done with Survivor, and that's that. If you still watch Survivor or no longer watch it, agree or disagree with what I've said, let me know down below. Also, let me know what else you'd like to see me talk about on this channel. Like the video, subscribe for more videos, and yeah, thank you for watching.